Hey everyone, John Doyle from OptixEQ with Emily Gullikson. We're going to talk about the Risen Star this weekend at the fairgrounds. It's race 14, 9 furlongs, another qualifier event for the Kentucky Derby. So exciting. Emily, you ready to handicap this race? You've been following fairgrounds. I'm going to rely on your heavy expertise there.
Well, we have a little bit of both,
Yeah,
right? Because a lot of the horses you've been following, whether they're
yeah,
coming out of New York and Gulfstream, and
that's
then some of the
true.
horses that I've been following at Fairgrounds. So I think it's a good, or even Churchill, some of those horses that are coming off layoff. So it's a good mix of understanding these horses and having that foundation of following them. Because right before we started recording, talking about these lightly raced types, how
Yeah.
they're improving, or maybe we've seen the best of them, or one trip could impact the way that they're going to run today. You have a couple unknowns as far as that could impact the race shape. And yeah, it's interesting. I think we have some good information and good insight here.
Yeah, and until they all kind of work themselves out, these races could offer a lot of opportunities. We talked about maybe 4 or 5 horses being a win contender in this race. We might like some more than others, but it just shows you that early on, until these horses kind of work, who's kind of superior, there's opportunity from a betting perspective. So we'll start with the plot. I mean, it's a red fit, so it's a little wonky, but to me, Emily, I'm just going to look at the contention, the speed rating, and then just when I look at the run styles, to me, I would just give a kind of a slight advantage to the early pace horses. I just think there's less of them. You see a race or a big field like this when 7 of the horses are kind of off the pace horses, just tells me that, maybe the early pace horses might have a little bit of advantage, especially when the contention seems light. And it all depends on some of these horses project to run, from like just 1 or 2 starts or maiden winners or therefore. But I guess the horse that's probably going to be the favorite is the 11, or at least is going to be the morning line favorite, I might imagine, is because he's up there. He's a Q1 square. It's post 11, but shouldn't be a problem going a mile and 1/8 at fairgrounds. There's plenty of time to be able to use his speed, not have to kill himself to get close to the front and get on or near the lead. Looks like some of these others, the 9, looks like maybe is probably a horse that's going to probably press too. You know, I can see the 5 sitting closer than he normally sits, but overall, I would just say the 11's looks to have an early pace advantage over some of these. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I respect the red plot fit. I think the 7 is going to be showing speed in this race. That's pretty much their only
Yep.
chance. I mean, they can't
Yep.
really rate. Same thing with the 9 or the 7. Is the stablemate to the 11. So I guess it gets a little bit tricky in there, but that's where he was effective. We'll talk about more in terms of trips. The 9 was the one I was thinking about coming out of Gulfstream Park. That's going to show speed. And then kind of the wild card, who's probably going to be even more speed in here, is the 12, because he's stretching out in distance from
That's
the
true.
6 furlongs. And at the 12, the 12 post, it's
Yeah.
kind of like, and it's it's a quality horse. I mean, Lannery's not really known as a front running type, but this is a horse that has natural speed. So I think there's going to be more contention. And looking at the surface distance, it already kind of does look like it could be fast, because you do have that 7 and 11 that are above the par line.
Yeah, it's just all depends. They're coming out of, those shorter races, or you go 9 furlongs. So sometimes, they're a little bit less aggressive going longer. They may not need to go that fast, so they may take back. It all depends on how rateable some of these horses are. I
Yeah,
agree.
and then I mean, there's other horses in here that have, like you mentioned, the 5. I think the 5 will probably be a little bit closer.
Yeah,
He was off slow last time. And then I know the 2 inside horses, they're not contenders at all. I don't
right.
even
They're
think they're quick
tosses.
enough.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're complete tosses, but I don't even think they're quick enough to get in the lead. But at least they could be maybe a menace for I mean, they've been
yeah.
able to show like 21 speed,
Yeah, you
things
never
like
know. You never know.
you know
Just go, gun it. Yeah. Because
yeah, so it's
you just
they
look
could.
at this, the summary, this is kind of the speed plot, like these horses just are too slow, just the way they kind of
No,
match up.
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not making a case for them, but they're horses
No,
that,
no,
based
no.
on where they are.
I was
they're-
trying to make the point why you said they're tosses, why we said they're tosses.
Oh,
I
okay.
want people
Yeah.
to know why we think they're tosses.
Yeah.
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 So
So
anyway, yeah,
should we get into a horse by horse and then kind of
yeah,
circle
sure.
back to the plot?
Sure. Do
Well,
we
we
need
could,
to go? Can we pass the 1 and the 2 because we just both said that they're tosses?
yeah,
Anything
I
you
guess,
wanna-
yeah, they are tosses. They're just, they're too below. They're not, look at them on the plot. Their speed figures are low, drops, et cetera. So
Yeah.
yeah, we can move on to 3.
Okay. Go to the 3. Honorary. Emily, this is a race we always talked about, this Kentucky Jockey Club being a kind of a key race for 2-year-olds every year. I'm not so sure this year that this race has come back as strong. What are you laughing at?
Because you're the one that's like put the strong in there. I'm like, okay.
I put the
And I'm
strong in?
like, okay. Yeah.
I did? I
Yeah.
don't remember doing this is Kentucky though, right? Okay.
Yeah, but no, I mean, you told me like, as far as that race, just in
Oh yeah,
terms
no,
of-
it's always been that way. It really
Yeah.
has been. Really. I'm saying this year it's I just, like, hey, things change. I adapt. This year it's not a strong race. I don't think, it hasn't come back down. It was a strong race. No. Let's try to distinguish. We have a strong here. So the race was strong. It was a high speed figure. It was a high, pace. It was a strong race. But I'm just saying it hasn't come back as a key race yet.
Correct.
Almost
Yes.
like a negative key race to this point. That's my point.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can kind of look at that race.
Okay, sure.
It's kind of tricky too, because not having like the speed figures right away,
Yeah.
is tough. But like a horse like Awesome Road, who was off 2 months, and then
Well, this is the race, right? I mean, I would say, I would say this race had a little bit of a flow. I wouldn't say, definite, but it had a little bit of an off the pace flow to it. Would you agree? And I guess since they've come back, these are the horses that have come back since. I mean, figures.
Some of them have improved. I mean, some we don't know, but
well, only one we don't know, and that was a turf race, right? So,
but it's still a B minus.
so you look. Yeah, I'm not saying it's just. I would just say a neutral at best. I wouldn't say it's a key race. I don't,
No, it's not. It's not a key race.
And
but
like all the horses have come back, and knowing the money finishes.
Yeah, and that was kind of the case, because like Awesome Road had been off 2 months, and then like look at that trip. Like I mean, it was weather, trouble start, rank, extra
Sure.
wide.
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
no real chance. And then Dancing Groom was the one that I think did improve speed figure wise. So yeah, it's not a key race, but I'm not knocking, especially these two that are coming out of it, and especially this one. I think this horse is a very good horse. And I think it has a little bit more tactical speed as well. As you mentioned, kind of the race flow probably had him a little bit further back. That was also a time that track was kind of weird. You wanted to be inside. I think that was a little bit more favorable on the day. But the first 2 starts were sprints, and also just following Bejarano. He's in town to ride. This is only mount on the card. He usually rides. He would have had like a bunch of mounts at Oakland Park. So, and I've been watching this horse train. He looks great. Coming off the layoff, he's actually working with a horse that's running in a first-time starter that's running in race 7.
Yeah.
And he's working much better than that horse. He's definitely like on a different level, but I don't think that horse is a slouch by any means. So that could be something to just kind of watch for as well.
I think he's a win contender. 5-6 to 1 seems like a fair price to me on a horse like this. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can't knock him. I gotta be honest with you, this Remsen's got me baffled, this race. I don't, this track that day was kind of, if you see my note here, extended comment, it was track favored the front runners, but this race flow favored off the pace. I mean, so it's been really hard to me to kind of evaluate form off of this lap. Some horses have come back and run huge improvements. And then there's others that just like the one in the Sam Davis, that Copper horse, just was a bust. So I don't know how to take this race, but obviously it was a good race. You know, regardless, I mean, it was a big number. And like I said, he was kind of against the track. Just interesting to see Ortiz, I guess, is not there, right? Both Ortizes are somewhere else. They're not at Fairgrounds, is that correct? Yeah.
I don't see him named on anything, so
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I
But
watching the
to
Remsen.
me, he's another win contender. He's going to probably be shorter than the three, and I just don't see much of a difference price wise. I would take on either one of those. So just they kind of look similar to me from a win contender standpoint.
Yeah, I would say this is kind of something that you taught me way early on, or really like drilled in, is taking a short price on a closer.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that when it really came down to it, I was like, that's going to be the separator, because this horse is, even if he's not, he's probably going to be the second choice. Can you guess?
Yeah, second. Yeah. But 11 will probably be the favorite, don't you think? 11.
Yeah, and then this guy will be like, looking for
Maybe
an
3 to
alternative.
1 or
Yeah, and he's got to come from off the pace, going to run on a different track. I thought in the Remsen, I thought that day, I thought inside was favorable. I thought that seemed to assist horses. And also just could have been one of those factors that some horses liked the track and some didn't, and it didn't really matter where they were. That's, and Sierra Leone, he also did break a little bit slow, and I thought he had kickback early too, where he was like a little bit further off the pace, but he did somewhat kind of save ground before he made that move. I think this is a good horse, but I think that's what it's going to come down to me. That's just, a deeper closer who's
and that's the other thing. Fairgrounds is not a deep closer kind of track profile either.
Yeah, especially if you're talking about the race shape. I mean, it's not going to do him any favors.
So, like, to me, like the 3, 5, 6 to 1 is what I would take, but you're not going to get that. So he's like a pass for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You can run underneath, maybe.
Yeah. This horse, I think, is, even if he doesn't run well here, I think maybe next time out, I think this is a horse that you got to watch, because I think this is a horse got some, I think I said it in the notes, I think this horse has got a classic distance kind of look to him. He's in that same Remsen race. I say he should handle classical distances. That, I think he's kind of a marathon type. So I think like a 1.25 miles, this is a horse you want to be looking for later on. But I think this horse has got a legitimate shot here. He's going to be closer to the pace, I think, than he was. And I think he likes to be closer to the pace. It's interesting to see that, I guess, my favorite guy, Ferran Giraud, is on this horse, and he's having a great meet, I guess. I don't know, Emily, is he? It looks like he's having a good meet.
Yeah, I mean, he gets a lot of live mounts. He's kind of one of the better riders in that colony, but when he's got to step up with other riders as they're coming in, that could be an equalizer. But yeah, I don't see what you're seeing on this horse, but I respect you enough to like let it go. I just didn't. Yeah, because I went back and watched one for the show I did last night, and then just to kind of refresh on this. Yeah, because just that note in general, how do you kind of interpret that? Because it has the improved, so you could see the horse step forward, but then it's situational. So is it an approved to a contender in this spot, or just kind of like improved?
Oh yeah, no, I think this horse could win.
Okay.
I really do. Yeah, I think this horse could win this race. He probably is going to, he has a legitimate chance, obviously, to hit the board. And I think at 12, I don't know if I saw the right morning line on this, because they're not out in the PPs yet. I thought something like 12 to 1, which I thought was a very good price on this horse. I think he's a live long shot at that price. No, again, because I don't think he's like that deep closer kind of horse, but I think he's, but he's kind of one of those horses that kind of just grinds, I mean, I think he can keep running. He's more even pace, but he keeps coming at you. He doesn't have these, he's not going to fade. And I think him being close to a pace, that's what I'm saying, is that race, he kind of got out of his thing, out of his rhythm. He got kicked back. And I just think that if he gets in a better position, which I think he's got a better pace scenario today, he's going to sit maybe a little bit closer. maybe he could sit fourth or fifth and make his run and keep grinding up at the wire. That's kind of the thought I had on this horse.
Yeah, and it was a weird kind of race shape, because he was kind of closer, but he was like bunched up in that mid pack. You know how they all kind of clustered a little bit?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like he was kind of closer. He was like he wanted to be, to your point, he's gonna be closer. And they were kind of closer on that day. It just wasn't it's not the closer that it looks like on the running line. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
it was a weird race.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure that, and we'll see. But it's come back. Some horses have come back and run dramatically better out of that race. Some haven't. Real Men Violin. You've been watching this horse. What's your opinion of this horse? Peaked?
Yeah. I so I think he's, if you're looking at like kind of on paper, he looks fine. You know, he's improving, he's got some number, he's got some foundation around 2 turns, a B and a grade 2. He looks fine on the plot. The thing that I'm not crazy about is I'm not crazy about his works coming back. And I probably have to do maybe a little bit more deeper dive to see what he was looking like before, because maybe that's who he is. But I just wasn't thrilled. There was like one work, the February 2nd work, they gave him a bullet. I watched that work and I'm like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no, no.
Yeah, I don't think he's that good. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm just thinking some of these numbers might have peaked, like been his peaks efforts, because like they start him off in a turf route, right? At Ellis,
Yes, but
right? And then they're
that's
gonna
2
keep him on the
turns. But it's
grass.
not, no, it's not turf necessarily, because it's just trying to get 2 turns. There's no 2
Okay.
turn races at that point.
Okay. So then they I guess Saratoga, they keep him on that until they get dirt. I guess in Churchill, he's saying that was a good race. Looked like he got a kind of a perfect trip there, but
Yeah.
then they put him back on turf. So
Yeah, but he was also entered main track only. So it could have been, it could have just been there wasn't a race. Maybe a race didn't fill around 2 turns. I don't know.
yeah. So that's
But
then you bring him back
that
in
was
one
my
turn
read
race.
from that
Then
was
you
my
bring him
read
back
from
in.
it.
What's that?
What's that?
Then you bring him
They
back in a
wanted
one turn race.
No, they didn't want to put him at a 1 turn. They wanted to put him at 2 turns. They didn't care what the surface was.
No, I'm talking about the sloppy win and the maiden win.
Oh, yeah, I mean that could have just been because the Keeneland race he scratched out of and they had to take a race. I don't know.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, I don't like him. I
Yeah.
mean maybe for underneath or something, but I'm not even
Yeah.
thinking that. He's probably going to need at least a race to get himself back going. Hall of Fame. Uh, I don't know. I mean, I just think when you're comparing these horses, and maybe I'm wrong because I don't follow the fairgrounds like you, but comparing a fairgrounds maiden special way, I know we got a B plus, and that's good. That means they'll
No,
typically
read the extended comment.
very slowing late. So
No,
what's
I said
the
there's nothing behind him.
oh, okay, good. That's negative, right? That's the way I read that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but he got a B plus, right? So, like, I look when I first looked at this, that was a B plus, but then I seen kind of like the class of the horses running against them. Looking at the Optix fig range, and to your point, I kind of looked at the late pace figure is very low. It looks like one of those races that kind of really got, it was very hot early, and he kind of one of the ones that he just no one else could run at the end. They were all exhausted. The horses.
No one else could run.
Yeah.
Period.
So so I was a little confused when I saw, I guess because of Steve Asmussen, is that this horse was 6-1 or something in the morning line. I don't get that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I think it's weird too that these 2 horses are in this race with the same running style. That is just so questionable to me for both of these horses.
Yeah.
Almost more on the 11. Makes me concerned about the 11 more, that the fact that they're going to run this horse with a similar run style, because this horse has conditions. He can run and allow it.
Yeah, unless they want to have the 11 practice rating off speed.
Maybe.
You know,
Yeah.
someone he could track. instead of him trying to go wire to wire 9 furlongs from the 11 posts, maybe just have him get into a good tracking position, get his legs underneath him. I don't know.
Well, yeah.
I'm not that smart. There's an Oaklawn horse, so I'll kind of leave it to you on this horse. There's another horse that's this is Smarty Jones. I guess this looked like a pretty good race. Was it?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
this is it's not graded, but it's a $300,000 race. So I mean,
Yeah.
there's horses in there that are in it to win it. I'm just gonna kind of refresh, like, oh, Mystic Dan. That's right. Mystic Dan finished 5th in this race, and he came back and won the Southwest. So yeah, I think it's there's that Gettysburg Address horse. He's okay. Just Steel. He's not a route horse, but he's a stubborn, fast Lucas horse that has just been sticking around. The horses coming out of that race, I mean, there were some solid horses in there. And he's improving. He got a B+ as well, right? No, B. B+? B+.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he had to show an extra gear and a little bit of class to get that win. And hasn't really done anything wrong.
Yeah, I think the only knock on him is going to be the same knock I had kind of on the 3 and the 4s. Like he's kind of like doesn't break. Like he's going to be toward the rear on a race where maybe dynamics aren't for him. So that would be the only kind of little bit of a knock. Like just to see the way he breaks. He breaks 7th, like 7th, and how big were these fields? 7th out of 9, 7th out of 10, 6th out of 9. It's just something. When you got to work yourself around in a big field, it's just a matter of what price you'll take. I think he's another one that's like around 6 to 1 in the morning line.
He's getting kind of a plot change today though, because he's been quadrant 4 in the past, and today he's quadrant 2.
Yeah. Maybe he's close. I don't know. I look at the break sometimes just to see how they break. So he's always breaking in the rear, the back half, at least the back half of the field. So we'll see. Like I said, they got there's a lot of run up to the turn, so they can work themselves out in this race. So maybe he can find position. And Cox wins this race like every year, doesn't he? Pretty much. I think he's won 4 of the last 5 years this race. I think so. Something like that. Someone could correct me out there. So I don't know. I guess he's a win contender too, but I'm kind of like, I don't see him the 3 and the 4 much. They're win contenders, but I wouldn't be like taking anything less than 6 to 1 on any of those. Right. So you think he's a win contender?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The 9 Cardinale, the problem I have with this horse, he comes out of the race that I don't know if it's a problem, but he comes out of the same race as that horse, Change of Command, who just like flopped. Like terrible.
Honestly,
I was against that horse. I mean, my opinion
I was too, honestly.
The only opinion I had in that race that was right was I didn't like him.
Yeah, same. I mean, yeah. I thought he was a bad favorite. He didn't have any edge in that race. And this guy is kind of like almost like the 7, right? Like he's stepping up in class. He's like the same horse.
Yeah. I think when you can see it on the plot, but I mean you can see it in the figures too and stuff like that. But when you're looking at these kinds of horses, unless they have like some kind of nuclear speed or they got some kind of like different kind of dynamic, when you see circles in these races like this big, it's like these horses haven't yet. Now they may get there, but they just haven't yet learned how to redistribute their pace. And as these distances get longer, that's what you want, right? You want these horses finishing, right? And that's as opposed to like expending all that energy early. They may get a good figure, an overall speed figure, because they just go so fast early and they kind of hang on. But that's not what you want as these races progress and as these distances progress as you lead up to Kentucky Derby. So I don't see this horse as a win contender.
No. I think he's probably a toss.
Yeah, close to it. Maybe like he could hang on for a piece, maybe if he's lucky. Resilience. Is he resilient? That's what I want to know. What was my thing on this horse? Let me look at what I thought about him. I just, coming out of maiden race is tough. He's got that outside post. He's got, speed drawn outside of him. I don't know how he's going to work out a trip. Took him a while to break his maiden. Um, I don't know. I mean, the fact that he's kind of improved though the last two is good. I'm just don't know if it's today. Maybe this horse does have some more upside, but I think this is a tough spot for him to try to win this race, given his
Yeah,
current.
I need to see more from him. Yeah. I mean, he hasn't, like you said, he's improving. He hasn't run bad.
Yeah,
But he's
yeah.
gonna have to
He's
run.
one of
He's
those.
gonna have to run even better.
These mod horses though, they just seem to get better over time. So I don't just want to poo-poo and give up on them. Today, not today, but down the road, you just, if he puts in a good effort today and kind of could build on that, maybe.
What was
Uh,
that? I mean, that race strength looks really weak.
what's that? What was that?
That last race, that looks
Yeah.
really weak. Oh yeah, that race is not good.
Oh, come back week.
I don't know what it's come back as, but the horses going into it weren't doing all that much.
Yeah, they
No
were maidens,
winners.
right? They're maidens, so.
No, I know, but
Uh,
they had races. They were like running in like the low 80s.
yeah. This horse has done nothing wrong. We said he might have a pace advantage. He's been running over there at fairgrounds. That's my only thing was with uh, um, is that he's been running the races at fairgrounds and Churchill. I guess Churchill's fine these days, but I don't know. I don't like the no finish in the second. It was in the slot, granted. Um, most of his races, I've obviously been on the lead. So I'm thinking that the reason the other horse might be in the race is to help him learn how to rate. And I don't want to experiment, take a short price on a horse that's going to learn to do something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this horse is going to try to rate because he's been so effective not. Um, there's things that I'm negative on this horse. Kind of for a lot of reasons. You kind of hit on it from those maiden races. I mean, his debut, I know it's cold at that time, but he didn't take any money for these connections. Even in the second start, um, he did on November 25th, but that race is not has not been that good of a race. There's only been one horse that won out of it, lat long at Oaklawn, but he actually his speed figure dropped and he ran an 80, and then he ran in the Lecomte and only ran an 85. The rest of the field is still all maidens, and some of them have even come up short in maiden claiming company.
Right.
So there's that question for me. And the gun runner, that was a very good race, but B plus, best of speed, X flow move. But I think that race kind of put him over the top a little bit, because I even wrote in the extended comment that it would be potentially taxing and needs recovery, though a strong effort. And he did take a step back, even though he won. He
Yeah.
declined.
Yeah.
I mean, his speed figure dropped, and he did win, but he did so with a lone trip. And then, to my visuals, I thought that horse finished all out. It wasn't like a pump in drive or anything like that. But
Right.
it's like he's kind of drifting late. He's not really quickening. I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like this is the spot that he's going to be favored, and you got to take him on. And if he proves you wrong that he's that super horse, so be it. But I I got to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, so it is. I agree with you. So, I mean, I'd be taking a shot against the 11 myself. I think we talked about the 3, 4.
But we got to talk about the 12.
Did I miss? Oh, God.
Yeah. Because this horse is really good. This is a very good horse.
It's a lot, asking a lot of a horse, though.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
I watched him train prior to the debut, and I was like, this horse is going to win first out. he's not a Doncho, but he was very classy before that and on the track. And I think this horse has potential, but yeah, this is a tough spot. But this horse would not surprise me if he runs well in this race, because there's something to him.
Okay. Well, I mean, he
Maybe
definitely,
he's better. Maybe he'll be a 1-turn miler, but yeah,
well, he
I don't
definitely
know.
could get, I mean, between, he could definitely give the 11 some fits if he gets out of that gate and they make him go forward. It depends on, what they'll, I don't know how Corey gets to the rail from here though. That's the, I'll find a way.
Yeah. I mean, if like on the extended comment, I wrote that the horse broke on top.
And in the chart, they say he broke fifth.
Well,
Maybe he goes to the
I mean, who
outside.
do you want to
Maybe it
trust?
depends on
Me? Do you
where.
want to trust me or the
No, no, no.
chart?
I trust you. I trust you. But I'm just saying. What I'm thinking is sometimes I don't know how they actually take these. I don't know who actually puts them in. Uh, but so it depends on when they take that call, right? You probably said he broke out of the gate on time, which is probably right.
No,
But
he's like he showed speed. Like he could have made the lead, and then they like
took him back.
yeah, they took him back to like rate, and he was still close. He was still close to the pace, but he would have been yeah.
Well, this horse to watch it because Dallas Stewart, he's always got a bomber in his supers in some of these big races down the road. So
Yeah.
that's a horse to kind of keep an eye on. So what's our overall assessment here, Emily? So we said like the 3 was a win contender, the 4. I thought the 5. To me, the 5 is gonna be the way I kind of key around the race, in exacta and the win end because I just think the price is legitimate for me. I'm gonna take a shot. We didn't like the 7. We liked the 8 as a win contender, and then we really didn't like. You liked the 12 a little bit, maybe for a long shot. So that right? Is that kind of it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think if I like, I think the 3 is, in my opinion, the most likely winner.
Okay.
Like I think he's the best horse in the race. He checks all the boxes. I know you're concerned about Trip.
Yeah, but I tell you the honest truth though, I with the 3, I mean he's just got the same issues as the others. But what I like about what I would prefer on when I get a closer in a race like this, I prefer them being drawn inside so they can save ground and try to make one run. They kind of pop out or something. But it seems like if they're closers and they're parked outside, it's like it's like a nightmare.
I'm not also convinced that this horse is a closer, because he just has one race around that 2 turns.
Well, he's going to be at least mid-pack, so he's going to be off the pace.
Yeah, and the way that he's training, he's in front of his workmate.
Yeah.
So
he's not going to be first, second, or third.
No, but I'm not looking at him like the 4 is a closer. Yeah. I don't see any way around it. The 3, I'm not convinced that the 3 is like a 1-run closer. He could sit mid-pack.
Yeah, I'm thinking about 3-5, kind of exacta, right? Working exotics around those horses. I agree with you. I think the 3, even if he doesn't win, I think he's kind of a horse you can anchor on, in terms of the exacta and the try and stuff like that. So, like I said, I think it all depends on it's going to be a light pace. That's why the reason I kind of like the 5. I think the 5 might be in a right spot at the right time, and. The other horses, the speed horses, look suspect. The 11 looks, is the favorite, but we said there's no value there. There's no value there. I think that's that race. That's it, huh? So cool. So that's our assessment of the Risen Star. Hopefully we helped out a little bit or not, at least. But I think this has been.
I think so. I mean, if nothing else, it's the comments on the 11 that you're not going to hear from anybody else.
Right.
Because I'm negative on that horse. I just am.
Yeah, I don't blame you. The only thing he's got going for him is that he's got speed. But the other thing is these horses doing something for the first time. I know he's an 8.5. It's 9 furlongs for the first time, so that's another what if. And we'll see the post. We may have to use a little bit, but we'll see. Yeah. All right, Emily, that does that for this. So thanks everyone. Check us out at OptixEQ.com. At OptixEQ on Twitter, and check our website out at OptixEQ.com. Thanks for listening.